Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome back to Thursday's reading practice session. I hope all of you are doing good. And a lot of students are still joining. Okay, let's begin. So here I'm sharing the first question for reading writing blanks on the screen. And you have to take 2.5 minutes to solve this. Be very, very careful that you are following all the rules that you should be having in front of you written at a proper place. All the rules at one page is very important. If you have written some rules somewhere and the other somewhere, they're not going to help you in any way. So if you haven't, please make a note that in the weekend you can put all your notes at one particular place and you can revise them, and they should be kept very handy. Right, so first question, 2.5 minutes, and then we have a discussion 2 times. Please try and participate. Please post your answers and ask your questions if we do not talk about whatever doubt you have. Okay, so your time starts and start solving. Yes, sorry, there was some problem with the microphone, so we had to change that. Okay, so let's see the answers. This is teaching children in a way that dash them to empathize with others measurably improves their creativity. So here the noun is way, which is singular. So we need a word with S. So we can eliminate two options which are not with S, promoted and made. So we have to select our answer out of allows and encourages. So a teaching method, basically teaching children in a way. Every method that we teach students with, that method dash them to empathize, that method allows them. But if you look at the opposite of allows, that is disallow. So no method in teaching will ever disallow student to do something which is good or to do something which is positive. So allow and disallow is not the topic. We'd rather say it encourages them. Basically, it means that it provides some more opportunities to do something. So that is encourages. So this way encourages them to empathize with others, measurably improves their creativity. Is my audio fine now? Is there any problem with the audio still? Some of you are saying yes, some of you are saying no. Improves their creativity and could lead to several other beneficial learning outcomes. So the sentence is complete. We still have a blank. Lead is a verb, so we need to find adverb which should end with ly. That could lead to, so how will it lead? It will potentially lead, finally, anyways, or anyhow. So finally is when we are ending something. This is not a process that is ending, but we can say it will potentially lead. Potentially means having the possibility. So this could possibly lead to other outcomes. So one is that they will get encouraged to empathize with others. Also, there can be other possible benefits as well. So other possible benefits they are writing that it may possibly lead to other beneficial outcomes. This is suggested by a new research. The findings are from a year-long University of Cambridge study with this technology. Pupils at one school spent the year following curriculum prescribed lessons dash the other group's D&T lessons. So we are making a comparison between two different groups, and whenever we make comparisons, we use while or whereas. So when we look at the options, we do have while, so we should go with that. This is what is called analyzing your sentences before you actually look at the option. Some of the students do this mistake that they straight away, you read the sentence and straight away look at the options without doing any analyzation that what I want, what I need, what type of word I want. So don't do that. That generally does not benefit you in any way. So we are making a comparison of one school and the other group. So we'll go with while in this case. These lessons used a set of engineering design thinking tools which aim to dash students' ability to think. So we took on first form of verb, and we need a verb for ability. So can we create ability, can we foster ability, can we look after ability, or can we grow ability? So this method we have already discussed, that we can just do matching what type of verb we need for what type of noun. So we found the noun ability. So we'll go with foster. Foster basically means develops, encourages, promotes. Promotes is the right word, which promotes the ability. We don't create or grow. Ability is not a plant, and ability is not a drawing that we can create, but definitely we can promote it. And to engender empathy while solving real world problems, both sets of pupils dash for creativity at both the start and end of the school year. So there are two different groups, both the groups of people assessed. If you'll say both groups of people assessed, that will mean these groups assess somebody. And the same thing if we'll say have assessed, that will mean the groups assessed somebody. Groups have done the work, but that is wrong. There were two groups doing the work and somebody else assessed them at the beginning and at the end. So that means passive voice. It will be both the groups were assessed for creativity, both at the beginning and the end of the test, whatever test they have, Torrance test. right? So these are the answers. The first one is this teaching method encourages. Encourages means provides more opportunities. And then this could possibly give other benefits also, not just one benefit. There can be other benefits also. The third one, comparisons between two groups. So we'll go with while. The fourth one, for ability, we cannot create or grow ability, but yes, we can increase ability. We can promote ability. So promote means foster. And the last one, it was a passive voice. Somebody is going to somebody is going to assess the groups. So it is passive voice. We'll say both the groups were assessed at the beginning and at the end of the test. Right, so these are the answers. Anybody who has any confusion in anything that we did not talk about, foster means to promote. Promote something, we can use the word foster as well. All good with everyone? Any confusions, any doubts? Okay, let's move ahead. What is the problem in the second blank and fourth blank? I've told you so many times, try to be specific because it won't be possible to repeat everything in that blank. Try to be specific when you ask your questions that what is this or what is that. So in the second blank, we needed an adverb that, like I said, this is one benefit. It can possibly have other benefits as well. So possibly will be adverb. So that possibly means potentially. Yes, with could comes a modal, but we don't, could comes first form of verb and lead is already written there. So that is why we said the sentence is complete and could lead to. When the sentence is complete, lead is a verb, so we need adverb in that case. The verb can be written before the blank or after the blank, any side it is possible. All right, question number 2, and here you have your question on the screen, 2.5 minutes to solve this, and then post your answers. All right, should be done. Anybody left to post the answer? Good, very good. Last one. Okay, let's see. Recreational hunting. So let's avoid reading this. You can read it for your understanding if you want, that what is it, especially hunting of charismatic species for their trophy. So that is a definition given of recreational hunting. This says recreational hunting raises ethical and dash concerns. So one is ethical concerns. We have to find what is the other type of concern. And it's a common combination. We use the word ethical and moral together because both of them are related to our what do we feel is right or wrong. There are not any rules written anywhere for what is morally correct or not, but what we preach will be our moral duties. So social society has nothing to do with hunting as such. Economical means financial perspective, but they haven't talked about money anywhere, and it's not anybody's personal concern about hunting. So it's ethical and moral. Ethical and moral means whether it is right or not for an individual or for anybody to do it, whether this hunting form is right or not. So that is ethical and moral. Dash recreational hunting is frequently suggested as a way to conserve nature and support local people's dash. So we have connectors. If we look at the options at number 2, we have connectors. So that means we need to understand what is the connection between sentence 1 and sentence 2. Only then we can select it. So the first sentence was negative because we said it has ethical concerns, it has moral concerns. It was a negative sentence. And the next one says recreational hunting is frequently suggested as a way to conserve nature. Means it is a positive statement about recreational hunting. So that means these two sentences are going opposite to each other, one negative and one positive. So we cannot say similarly. That is the first thing we have to eliminate. For even though and although, both of them you could have even eliminated first than similarly, because even though and although can come when you have even though, a phrase, a comma, and then another phrase. Same goes with although. For although you start with although, then there are some words, a comma, and then the result, the other side of the story. There is essential, compulsory to have one phrase, a comma, and another phrase. Only then although and even though can be used. But both of the things are not, the comma is not there, so both of them cannot be used. So what are we left with is yet. If you want to simplify yet for yourself, you can write down a very basic way we use yet is but still. If you can fill but still in a blank, you can select yet in that case. So they say it has various concerns, but still it is suggested as a way to conserve nature. So that is how the meaning of yet is justified here. So it is suggested as a way to conserve nature and support local peoples with apostrophe, means something of the local people. Local people's livelihood, maintenance, means, or livelihoods. So livelihoods is what we say their basic subsistence needs, that is called their livelihoods, means their bread and butter, their living. We cannot say likelihood is a possibility. Maintenance, we don't have maintenance of people, and we don't even have means of people, but we do have livelihoods of people. And the next one says, in a new article published in this journal, scientists from this university have reviewed more than 1,000 studies on recreational hunting. The first such attempt to summarize the scientific literature, dash the biodiversity and social effects of recreational hunting. This was a bit long sentence, but you could have read it from here. The first such attempt, or you can say the first attempt to summarize the scientific literature, dash the biodiversity and social effects. Let's put one by one. Can we match biodiversity and social effects? Can we meet biodiversity and social effects? Can we examine biodiversity and social effects, or can we analyze? But analyze is first form of verb without ing. So the first thing you should be telling yourself is, do I need ing or I don't need ing form of verb? And for that, we have to recreate a sentence. For example, if I say, I have to reach the park dash a bicycle. So it will be, I have to reach the park, ride a bicycle or riding a bicycle. So a complete sentence where they connect two pieces of information, we need ing form of verb in that case. So that is why the answer would be examining, because yes, we can examine biodiversity, we can examine the social effects of hunting, it is possible, but we cannot meet or we cannot match biodiversity with the effects. And analyze does not have ing, right? So this would be examining. This university and the co-lead author says more analysis is needed to understand how and why recreational hunting can work for good, and those areas where it can be dash. So it can be what? It means hunting. So you always question yourself on what is the pronoun, what is the pronoun used for. If you will read it, a lot of options will match. But if you will read hunting in place of it, some of the options won't match. So you can say those areas where hunting can be exposed. Can we expose hunting to anything? Where hunting can be harmful, hunting can be detrimental, and hunting can be hazard. Hunting is not a hazard. Harmful and detrimental are synonyms, and detrimental is a better way of saying harmful. So that is why detrimental would be the answer. So always question yourself for pronouns. Who is it? What is it? They, their. You question them, you will become more clear about what kind of word you need. Right, so the first one, ethical and moral, they are from the same disciplines, from the same subject, so they come together. What is right, what is wrong is ethical and moral thing. The second one, even though and although need two parts in the same sentence, which we don't have. Our sentence had only one part without a comma in between. Similarly cannot come because the sentences were opposite, one negative and one positive. We cannot say they are similar. The third one, people's, hunting is a way to support local people's livelihood, their living basically. They survive on that. That is called their livelihoods, because we cannot say maintenance of people or means of people. The fourth one, we needed ing form of verb and we cannot match or meet biodiversity and effects. So we can examine the effects, examine the biodiversity. And the last one, where hunting can be dash. Hunting can be detrimental, which means harmful only. So harmful and detrimental are synonyms, as I said, and detrimental is a better academic word. So we'll go with detrimental and not harmful. Right, so those of you who have written exposed just thinking that with be comes third form of verb, first find out if you need a verb or not. So if you don't need a verb, then this rule is not going to apply that which form of verb you need. It's only when you need a verb, then third form will be applied. So you're missing one step and you're simply going to with be comes third form when we don't need a verb. So it had two parts for them. They wanted to say that more analysis is needed to understand how and why recreational hunting can work for good. And we need to understand those areas where hunting can be dash. So we cannot expose hunting. What if I say, let's expose hunting? What is the meaning it conveys? Hunting is an activity and we expose hunting doesn't even hold a meaning. Exposed is come in contact with something, like the food is exposed to air. So in that sense, we use come in contact with. Chemicals are exposed to air. People's livelihoods, there's no problem because the 2S rule is for one noun and one verb, and people's livelihoods both are nouns. And moreover, this is apostrophe S, not without apostrophe S. Apostrophe S means of the, so livelihood of the people. All right. Hazard is like earthquake is a hazard. Tsunami, drought, natural hazards, like we say. A hazard is something which is a big event, negative event. So if there is a leak in the chemical factory, let's say, we can say this is a chemical hazard, natural hazard like tsunamis, earthquakes. All right, question number 3 on the screen, 2.5 minutes for this. Please post your answers. Okay, should be done. Questions being made, Anita. Do we make questions? So this says once research has been dash within scientific research. So with being can come ing or ed form. So let's see, research has been tackled. We don't tackle research, we tackle problems, we tackle issues. And we don't handle research as well. So these two are contextually incorrect. And ing is not what we need, because if we say ing accepting, that will mean research has been accepting something, which is not possible. Research cannot accept or reject anything. So it will be once research has been undertaken. Undertaken would simply mean done, performed, done, completed, anything can be undertaken. So once research has been done, research has been undertaken within scientific research, this can lead to accepting, rejecting, or modifying the hypothesis. For the social researcher, there may not be any firm conclusions dash to draw this process to take place. So any word that matches with conclusions, made, drawn, reaching, and given, it's a collocation. With conclusions, the verb that we use is always draw. We draw conclusions. It can be in any form. Draw conclusions, draw can come first, or conclusions drawn, drawn can come as third form after conclusions as well. But this is a combination, conclusions and draw. So any firm conclusions drawn to allow this process to take place, it is usual that research leads to more research and further questions being dash. So again, with being comes ed form here, further questions being dash. So can we make, further questions being asked is present tense. We cannot use that. Further questions being reasonable. We are not talking about whether the questions are good or not or reasonable. Cover or explore. So in researches, we explore answers to the questions. We don't cover. Cover is like it's a syllabus already there and you have to see what all you have done out of that. But when we do a research, we don't really know what's going to come next, because research means you're finding out new things. So we explore the questions. Definite answers may be difficult to dash. So with two comes first form and there was only one. So this was really a time saver. All of you have got it correct. Difficult to ascertain. There may be a host of reasons given and these reasons may change over time. Research findings. So we have however within 2 commas. So whenever we have a connector with 2 commas, we can always read it in the beginning of the sentence. However, research findings from both the scientific and the social research community do need to be discussed more widely, dash to their becoming accepted. So this says the research, whatever findings we get from the research, we need to discuss them very widely, dash accepted, before we accept them basically. So can we say before to their becoming accepted? Before and to don't come together. Prior to is a combination, so it would be prior to their becoming accepted. Likely to, we need something which can say before. So prior and before are those words. Prone to, the meaning of prone to, if you want to write, prone to means at risk of. Like if I say this area is prone to flooding, means this area is at risk of flooding. That is how we use the word prone and to together. So these are the answers. First one is research has been done, research has been completed, research has been undertaken. Any of these would possible. The second one, with the noun conclusion, we always use the verb draw. Draw conclusions or conclusions drawn. Questions. In a research, we find the answers to the questions. So basically, we explore more and more questions. The fourth one is correct. It is difficult to ascertain the correct definite answers. And research findings need to be discussed very widely, more widely, before we accept them. But because of the writing style, we cannot use before because we have to written. So you have to say prior to their becoming accepted, because before and to do not come together. Right? Any doubts? Anybody? Any questions? Ascertain, with to comes first form of verb and all the other 3 options were third forms of verbs, just Raj. So you don't even need to read the 3 other ones. Ascertain is first form. Anybody else? Any question? All good, everybody? Okay, thank you. Then you have your fourth question, fourth one, and 2.5 minutes, and post your answers, please. Done, very good. We did one meaning of despite. I think yesterday I told you one meaning of despite is even after. If it comes in a running sentence, then you can check if you want to put even after, then you can use despite always, and that's the same way it is being used here today. So good revision we got. So here it says the United States is dash for its perceived nonchalance. I read this word for the first time. Toward air pollution, despite persistent statements to the contrary. So it is something negative. So air pollution is not a good thing, not a positive thing. So we will say US is criticized for its perceived nonchalance toward air pollution. We cannot say appreciated or applauded because they are done for something good, and air pollution, rise in air pollution is not something good that US has done, so we can easily eliminate. It is criticized for air pollution. The US remains the #1 contributor globally to harmful chemicals in the air, with the fossil fuel consuming transportation industry being a dash emission source. Being a what kind of emission source? Earliest is not possible because the third forms that end with est, they always come with the. So the earnest, the earliest, but we have a there. So a primary means main or major, and focal means central. So as a source, we will say this is the main source, this is a major source, this is the primary source. We won't say this is a central source of pollution, moreover. So this is a major source of pollution, primary emission source. With more than 250 million vehicles on US roads, the US surpasses even China based on total vehicles in use, dash China's much larger population. This is where you could have easily written even after. US surpasses even China based on total vehicles in use, even after China's larger population. So that is why we'll go with despite. Means China's population is more, but still US has more number of vehicles on road. So we cannot put while here. While is used when we make the comparison, but we are not making a comparison here. Comparison would be whose population is larger. So China has this population while US has that population. That is called comparison. We are not comparing populations here. We are giving two different facts. So even after China's population is more, still the vehicles in US are more. So that is how despite comes here. And then they say China has surpassed the US in annual new car sales. The sentence is absolutely complete. Still we have a blank. Surpassed is a verb, so we need adverb here. And what adverbs do we have? Noticeable is not an adverb. Initially is, already is, and usually is. All three are adverbs. So you can make a note in your list of adverbs if you did not know that already is also an adverb, which is also the answer here. China has. So has means present tense. We cannot put initially. Initially means in the beginning. So it has to be China had initially, in the past, in the beginning. So initially is not possible. And China has usually surpassed. So usually doesn't make sense here. Usually is generally. So China has generally passed. That doesn't make sense. So we'll go with China has already passed the US, surpassed the US in annual new car sales, in the present tense basically. Dash the data on a per capita basis reveals another side to the story. So examining the data, analyzed the data, understanding or looking. So looking at the data, we don't have at here. Understanding or examining, what is the better word that we use for data? Understanding is more used with information, facts, understanding the rules, understanding basically something which is theoretical. But numbers are better, numbers better go with examining. Particularly the word data, we don't understand the data. For example, we have a data that there's 20% this in US, 30% this in Australia, 10% this in India. So we cannot say we are understanding, we are analyzing where it is more, where it is less. So that is called analyzation of data. So it would be better to go with the word analyzing rather than understanding. So these are the answers. The first one is criticized because it's a negative statement. The second one with the, we put earliest and earnest, but with a, we'll go with main source. So it will be primary source. Third one use of despite in a running sentence is when we say even after. So then we use despite, which was the case here. And the fourth one, already China has, because has means present tense, we cannot put initially and usually does not make sense. So we'll say already China has surpassed the US in new car sales. and then analyzing the data should have been fine. Examining the data is fine. They haven't given you examining and analyzing because they are too close to each other. It is very difficult for a person to select analyzing or examining with data. So you will never get such kind of choices in the exam. But yes, understanding more goes with theoretical things, but with data, it's better to go with examining. Good, Reena. Well done. Anybody who has a question or doubt in this? Every year, then yes, we can use usually param, right? So we can say China usually surpasses US every year, then it's fine to say usually. Means generally this happens. This is a thing which keeps on happening, that is usually. The meaning of despite is even after. So we cannot say with because we are talking about two different things. We are saying that, okay, connect these two. The number of vehicles in US are more, dash, the population in China is more. You can say the number of vehicles in US is more, even after the population of China is more. Do you understand now? This is what the sentence is trying to say. So we cannot put ed form in the beginning of the sentence. Can we say analyzed the data on a per capita basis? Who analyzed? If we put ed, we will need a subject as well. So we'll say scientists analyzed the data. Only then we can go with ed. Without subject, we cannot start with a verb in past tense. Like we cannot start with ed. Okay. So they have said in annual new car sales, means this year's. They're talking about this particular year's new car sales that they do annually. But this year's, we are not talking about that what happens every time. We are talking about what has happened this year. Right? Like you say, Mr. X has dash the contest, has dash the annual sum contest. So we cannot say Mr. X has usually won the annual contest. Mr. X usually wins the annual contest. So that would be a different way of writing. Then we cannot use past tense in that case. If we use past tense, Mr. X has won. We won't say has usually won. So usually cannot come with past tense. Usually will come with present tense only. Wow, this is also a rule. Usually never comes with past tense. They have usually done this. Present tense with usually. Okay, so the last question for reading writing blanks for today, a comparatively smaller one. And 2.5 minutes, and then post your answers, please. All right, should be done. Let's see, this says new dedicated hubs for deaf children are needed. Dash the country to provide new social spaces. So within the country, do we want to place a limit? Along the country means side by side. Through the country, through is used when you have a method written after. Around the country is a general way of writing, means everywhere in the country we need something, and we can say around the country, which is the right answer. Within only means when you want to say not out of. So the writing style conveys something else that you want to highlight, that we don't need this outside the country. Then we can say within. The second one says special schools for deaf children dash an important role in the deaf community, acting as places people can meet and learn 𝗖𝗹𝘀𝗀 together. So because schools is plural, we cannot use has, and also we cannot use having without having any helping verb. Schools are having, schools will be having. Without are or is or will, we cannot use ing form. So having is not possible. So some of you have written A and most of you have written B. No, most of you have written A. Some of you have written B. And very well done, those who have written B. Special schools for deaf children are having. If we say are having, we want to say that only nowadays they are having. Like currently they are having this thing. They did not used to have it earlier. That is the meaning of only saying are having, only current. But we do have an option which says have had. Have had means present also and earlier also. This thing was in this thing was happening, and now also it is happening. So that will be have had, and the answer here is have had. Special schools for deaf children have had. Already they have. From the past, they are doing this. An important role in the deaf community, acting as places where they can meet and learn. But the move to inclusion, education, and new technology such as cochlear implants means most children with hearing loss are now educated in mainstream schools. So this sentence was very important to understand this tense formation. You in this sentence is saying that nowadays this is happening. So that means earlier, the previous sentence cannot say that right now this is happening. So the previous sentence will mean have had. In the present also, from the past time, this thing was what they were doing. But now that we are shifting to new technology, then the students are being educated in mainstream schools. Deaf education should be dash to replace the role previously provided by dash schools. So with be comes third form of verb. Should be change is not possible. So we have only one third form. It should be remodeled to replace the role previously provided by dash schools which have closed. So a role which is provided by specialist schools, because now we say they are in mainstream schools only. So they have to remodel this deaf education, because the specialist schools which earlier were there, they are not now available. So they are closed now. So that is why it will be specialist. So these are the answers. Around the country means everywhere. We are not talking about one particular side or one particular area or city of the country. That is the meaning of around the country. The second one, they are not only now having, they have had. In the past, they were doing this. Till the present time, they were doing this. So that is called have had. And then should be remodeled, the only option with ed form. And the last one, earlier, as the paragraph explained, that they were specialist schools which have now closed, and now they are only going to mainstream schools. Right? Any questions, anybody? All clear with all of you? So have had would be if I say I have had my lunch. So what would that mean? I have done
my lunch. Like, I have had my lunch. So if I say only ing, I am having means it has nothing to do with past. Right now I am having. So this way maybe you can differentiate between both of them. Last one is specialist. Specialist schools which have now closed. So Nima, what is your question? Sorry. So which schools have closed? We cannot say primary, secondary, or main schools. The special schools which are only for deaf children, they have now been closed. Because in the previous sentence, they said now those students are going to mainstream schools. Mainstream means the normal schools, the main schools that we have. So within is used when we want to put a limit on something, when we want to say not out of this, then we say within. All right. Okay. So let's move on to reorders. Three questions of reorders we have, and here is the first one. We have a question mark, we have inverted commas, so can be a clear hints. Take 2 minutes and then post your answers, please. Okay, before we begin, let's congratulate 𝗙𝗿𝗀𝗏 who has got her score. So she's here to share the news. Thank you so much for coming, 𝗙𝗿𝗏𝗏, and big congratulations to you. it is because of your help. It is only because of your hard work and effort. Unless and until you take help, nobody can give help. So you should be really proud of yourself that you have made it. Congratulations once again. All the very, very best for your future. And achieve more success, achieve more things, more big things in life. This is just the start. Our wishes, our well wishes, our best wishes from all of us to you. And okay, I'll congratulate her on behalf of every student in the class. So congratulations from all of our side. And thank you so much for coming. It's so kind of students, you know, I might feel sound overreacting, but it really feels good when somebody comes and thanks you. You feel more, at least I feel, and I think everybody would feel more motivated, you know, to work harder. And thank you so much for giving me that motivation, 𝗙𝗿𝗶𝗹. Really proud of you. Okay, coming back to the answers. The first one was, I am really happy for those who have made this pair of B and D together, at least now. The thing that we were continuously discussing yesterday, that's the first sentence. In the second sentence, they talk about the same thing. Most of you have got it. So the first sentence was B. A theory is a method we used to give us understanding. And then from theory is coming out. One of the major purposes of a theory is to provide an answer to the question why. This is the sentence where we are introducing the question why. So those of you who have written BD after, in the end, how can we talk about why everywhere unless and until we have introduced that why are we talking about this why thing. So this was the introduction. So that is why B and D will come first, because this is introducing us. And then only we can explain the use of why or whatever they are talking about. So this was B and D was the first pair. And then most of you, what you have done wrong is after D, you have written E, and then you have made the pair of C and A. But did you realize that in E sentence, they are talking about children, and in C sentence, they are talking about anybody. Which is broader? Anybody or children? Answer me in the chat box. Anybody or children? What is broader? Anybody is broader, no? Children would be one part of anybody. So this sentence will come first. And then you have two sentences about children, which this is however. So we first have to find the opposite of however. So let's say why is one of the first questions that children ask. However, at the basis of such question are a child's first attempts to understand the world around them. So this was continuation. First you talk about children and then you explain something about children. So never forget these kind of, never ignore these kind of things. They are very important. Okay, I hope it's clear now. So here is your question number 2, 2 minutes, and then post your answers, please. No, you got it wrong. We cannot start with B. B doesn't even have what do you have to issue and what do you have to control. The first sentence was C. Regulation is used to impose minimum requirements for environmental quality, which a lot of you have got correct. But then you messed up putting B as the second one. There was a sentence which was further explaining A. The sentence was D, but I think you did not understand the meaning of interventions. Intervention only means regulations. That was a correct pair because of direct reference. Such intervention means such regulations aim to encourage or discourage specific activities and their effects involving particular emissions, particular inputs, and all these things. So what is the aim of these regulations? Is this. So that is why C and D was a pair. And then here you introduce encourage or discourage specific activities. So you relate it to saying those activities then. Often permits have to be acquired for those activities and the permits have to be renewed periodically. Then there were two sentences, one with however, this is federal and national authority, and the previous one with local and regional governments are the controllers. This will come first. In many cases, local and regional governments are the controlling authorities. However, for other hazardous activities, they are controlled by federal and national authority. So this was a clear hint that they are, however, means they go contrast. So the contrast was different governments and different governments. This was the right pair. Specific activities and those activities. This was the pair. And then regulation and interventions. Maybe you did not know the meaning and that's why. But I hope it is clear now. B, A, E. No. So look at the pronouns, look at these, those, look at the words like such, however, they are very important, don't miss them. All right, the last question for the orders, 2 minutes, and then post your answers. Okay, this is done well. All right, let's see. The first one is D, in the animal kingdom, because animal kingdom is a very broad word. Then talking about cheetah, predator, and lions. So in the animal kingdom, speed can mean the difference between life and death. They further explained why are they saying this, because predators use their speed to overtake and overpower their prey, while animals with few other defenses rely on speed to avoid. So I try that within these 2-3 days, if you can understand the pairing of sentence 1 and 2. So always the first sentence just tells you what is the topic, and the second one further explains that why or how, generally why are we saying this. And then they said lions are also fast, so also cannot come first. We have to say cheetah is the fastest first, and then lions are also fast, because also always comes secondary to the primary thing. And good attempt, very good. Any doubts in this one? Assuming no doubts. Okay. Let's start with the first question of reading blanks, and you take only 2 minutes and answer. So Divita, can we say I also like green color? What is the meaning of also? Like say I like green color. Also means with something else. So you say I like red color, I also like green color. So also is always secondary. It cannot come first. Also means in addition to. Okay, the first question for reading blanks, 2 minutes for this, and then post your answers, please. Are we done? Okay, let's see. Researchers find that the earliest bacteria had the tools to dash a crucial step in photosynthesis. So we took our first form of verb. We have changed, we have performed, two first forms of verb. So bacteria can dash a step. So we change Bacteria can change a step in photosynthesis, or bacteria can do a step in photosynthesis. Change is too big for bacteria to change photosynthesis. We can say it can perform. Perform basically means it could do a crucial step. It plays a crucial role. Bacteria had the tools to perform a crucial step in photosynthesis, changing how we think life evolved on Earth. The finding also challenges expectations for how life might have evolved on other planets. The dash of photosynthesis that produces oxygen is thought to be the key factor. So before of, we need a noun. How many nouns do we have? We have arrival and we have evolution. So photosynthesis cannot arrive. It's not a plane. We can say evolution means evolution. How can I explain evolution? Evolution is a natural phenomena by which things develop. So that is evolution of photosynthesis. This is a key factor in the emergence of complex life. This was thought to take dash billion years to evolve. So this was thought to take how many billion years? Do we have anything which can further describe? So we can say several billion years, that we thought that it used to take several billion years to evolve. But if in fact earliest life could do it, then other planets may have evolved complex life much earlier than thought. Than previously thought. Previously thought is a very common combination, collocation you can say. These two words are written together a lot of times. Than previously thought, 3 words actually. Than previously thought. Also, what I just thought of while reading this was, in the reading blanks, try to read the context to understand the writing styles, because they can give you, this thing as a blank, might have evolved. Or they would give you this word changing as a blank. So try to understand the writing style. Like this is the same thing that we keep on discussing. When a sentence is complete and then in place of full stop, they put a comma and then they give the first word as blank, then you always go with ing form. So these things you should be learning by reading as well, not only by applying. Because when you will start noticing them when you read, it will be very quick that you will recall when you will be giving your exam or when you will be solving your questions, because you are doing this every day, you are noticing this every day. So it will be very quickly that you will recall it. Right? And if it maybe or might be the third sentence, I was not sure. But if we say that this was thought to take maybe billion years, how can we say that we have to take a 50-50 chance here? Because the sentence does not require any kind of our probability to be mentioned. So this would be too much overthinking that we need to give our viewpoint that it may 50-50 take billions of years. Because may and might means 50-50, not more than that. Changing was mentioned, but changing was not mentioned for bacteria. Changing was mentioned, changing how we think. Our thinking is changing. Here we are saying bacteria had the tools to dash photosynthesis. This changing and this changing is completely for different reasons. So we cannot say bacteria had the tools to change photosynthesis. So bacteria can just maybe impact, affect, play a role, but it cannot change a natural process. Right? This method is completely lethal to your scores. Very, very dangerous to just look at the words and select your answers. Don't follow that. This is actually no method. This is you just guessing this word is here, so this word will come. This is not what is recommended. Read the sentences. Try to find out what are they talking about, what type of word you need. What word you are thinking, is it even possible that the bacteria can do that? So these kind of analyzations again need to be made. Okay, question number 2 and 2 minutes, and then post your answers, please. Okay, should be done by now. Anybody left to post the answer? Let's see, this says most past research about conversations dashed by linguists or sociologists. So what is a noun? Research is the noun. Research is singular. So with singular we use has, with plural we use have. Both are present tenses. It is simply a choice of singular or plural noun that we have to take a choice. So research has been conducted. Research is singular, so we cannot say have. Otherwise, those who have till now learned the concept of active and passive. By means it's a passive statement, whereas have studied, sorry, not number 2, have studied is an active phrase and has been is passive. So there were 2 clear hints, so none of you should have selected this wrong, because active passive is one concept which you have to 110% understand. It's going to come in 3 to 5 blanks in the exam. Until now, if you haven't done that, please do that. And has, have again is one of the basic concepts of English. Has comes with singular and have comes with plural. So research has also by means it's a passive statement. So have studied cannot come there. Psychologists who have studied conversations, on the other hand, have mostly used the research as a means of dash other things. After of, we always use ing form of verb. By and of, both of them come with ing form of verb. So means of looking other things, with looking we say looking at other things. Means of interesting other things doesn't make sense, but we can say means of addressing other things. So that would be the right answer, such as how people use words to persuade. Dash studies have explored what phrases individuals say at the end of conversations. In capitals, we have a few and little. Studies is a countable noun. We can count how many studies. So little is used with uncountable things and few is used with countable things. So we will use a few. A few studies have explored what phrases individuals say at the end of conversations, but the dash has not been on what people choose when people choose to say them. So has tells us that the answer has to be singular here, and after the we always use a noun, but the dash has not been. We need a singular noun and we have only one, focus, so there was no choice that we had. Do we have anything else? Concern, okay. So focus or concern. So concern is a bit negative word. We are not talking anything negative. So we'll go with focus. The focus has not been on when people choose to say them. Another hint that we have to go with focus was the preposition on. With concern, the preposition is about. We use the word concern about. We don't say concern on. So always check prepositions before you finalize your answers. Psychology is just now waking up to the fact that this is a really dash and fundamental social behavior. So we need one more word to describe social behavior. This is a fundamental social behavior. This is a really dash social behavior. So describing word would be interesting here. This is a really interesting social behavior. So these are the answers. Those who did not make a note that we have to check prepositions, you are not taking the full benefit of these classes. Just listening to me is not enough. You have to write those things so that you remember them when you solve your questions by yourself, or you can revise them one day before the exam. Okay. What is it? Most, what have you written? Very little. Little comes with uncountable things, some things that we cannot count, uncountable. For example, there is little water in the jug because water cannot be counted as 1 or 2. Concern is negative. We are not talking about negative here, Vivek. That's the first thing. And the second thing, you have to check the preposition. Concern does not go with on. Focus goes with on. After of and by, if you need a verb, it will always be ing form. Okay. All right. Third question. 2 minutes for this. Please post your answers. I was expecting the first one to be wrong, and it is. What is the meaning of enhance? Enhance means increased, right? So was the first sentence saying that we have to increase our judgment? To read critically is to dash your judgment about what you are reading. So basically this paragraph was to, okay, stop writing. Achha, what is enhance? Sorry. Yeah, enhance means to increase something and boost something, right? So this context basically was trying to differentiate between what is normal reading, just reading, not interpreting, and what is critical reading. So normal reading is when we just read, we don't judge what is written, how good it is, how bad it is, can it have any omissions, can there be anything which is wrong. We just read because like textbooks in schools, we don't judge them, that is called reading. Critical reading is when you read something and you analyze and you examine and you see, no, this is not right, or this, I don't think it's this way or that way. That is called critical reading. To read critically is to dash your judgment, meaning in that we apply our judgment. Apply means we exercise. If we say enhance, that will just means we increase the judgment. But in the other form of reading, we don't apply judgment. So what is the purpose of increasing or not increasing it? When we don't have it, so we have to first apply it. We cannot straight away say increase it. Something which is not there, we cannot increase that thing. Right? Any problem with the microphone? Is it not working? Working low? I actually put it closer. Is it fine now? Sorry. Is it fine now? Oh, it works better if kept far. Okay. Thank you. So to read critically means when we analyze, when we give our judgment. So it will be exercise. Exercise here means apply your judgment about what you are reading. That is not taking anything you read at dash value. It is called face value. Face value means like you just read whatever is given and you don't really judge it. That is called taking everything, whatever they say at face value means whatever they say, everything we accept. When reading academic material, you will be faced with the author's dash and opinion. So when we read the academic books, it is based on some person's interpretation of history. It is not our interpretation of history. So with the author's interpretation, what the author thinks about history, he has written that book that we read in academics and schools. So author's interpretation and opinion. Different authors will have different slants. You should always examine what you are reading critically and look for limitations, omissions, inconsistencies, oversights, and arguments. Dash what you are reading. This was arguments against. Against means in case of. So one meaning of against is to in a negative way, like they say against each other means competition type. And one meaning of against is in case of. Related to, in context of, that is how we use against. So arguments in case of what you are reading or in the context of what you are reading. In academic circles, while you are a student, you will be dashed to understand. So it becomes third form of verb. You will be expected to understand. Like when we read the books in schools, the teacher expects us that we will understand. You will be expected to understand different viewpoints and make your own judgments, dash on what you have read. So based on is what everybody has got correct. So make our judgments based on what we have read. Right, so these are the answers. The first one is we have to put our judgment, we have to apply our judgment. That means exercise here. Face value is a common collocation. Face value just means, in this context, face value means whatever is written, you just accept it as it is. You don't want to make any changes in it. That is face value. Third, author's opinion, something that matches with opinion, author's own interpretation of things is what we need in academic books. And arguments in the context of what we are reading, in case of what we are reading, related to what we are reading, that is against. And you will be expected in schools, in academic circles, as a student, they expect that we will understand, and then we will make our own judgments based on what we have read. Yes, face value is a collocation. One face value we normally use in what is that? Mathematics. Face value in primary school, right? Basic as a basic need or something. Basic value. The basic and value don't go together. Yeah. Basic goes with need. Basic principle, basic need, basic what else do we have with basic? Anybody else who knows any collocation with basic? The basic problem, though not very prominent in written language. Basic principle is common and basic need is common. You actually can put it with anything, but otherwise I think the prominent ones are these. Basic needs and basic principle is very common. Okay. Arshdeep, can I finish the class? Or even before that, should I reply? After the class, right? Okay, question number 4. No, that's okay, I'm just kidding. Question number 4, 2 minutes for this, and then post your answers, please. Okay, should be done. Very well done. No, not the third one is not correct. But I think we haven't discussed that yet. The emperor spent little time in Rome itself. He left his dash on the imperial capital in the form of art and architecture. So all of you have selected it correct. Although, because the difference between although and despite, although comes when you have a noun plus verb written. So emperor, the name of the emperor is the noun and spent is the verb. Whereas in case of despite, you do not have the verb, you have only noun. That is how we use the word despite. Although the emperor spent little time in Rome, he left his dash on the capital in the form of art. So left his importance? No, left his mark. Mark means left the mark or left a mark or left his or her mark means they have done something for which they are remembered there. They have done something which still makes people talk about them. So that is left a mark. It's a collocation. He left his mark on the imperial capital in the form of art and architecture. They say it is made of brick something. Made of brick and concrete and once displayed a marble facade. The Pantheon artfully synthesizes a traditional Greek front with a dash Roman cella. So here it was between different and distinctly. So when you use the word different, different just means different is used for different types of something, different kinds of something. But distinctive is used when you want to say something which is very different from others, which is one of a kind. Then we use the word distinct and not different. So that is a difference. And this question, the difference between different and distinctive, it comes in the exam also, very common one. So here we'll go with distinctly Roman cella because this was, they want to say it's very different from others, the other kind of building. So it is one of a kind. The roof consists of a dome and oculus, the latter dash the rotunda's strikingly colorful marble flooring. So latter, we are talking still about the building. So latter will be singular. We need a verb with S. We have carries and we have illuminates. So carries, a building cannot carry anything. So it's better to go with illuminates. Strikingly colorful marble flooring columns and alcoves. While the original dash of the temple is unclear, the Pantheon survives virtually intact today as a church. So before of, we need a noun and we have importance and purpose, two nouns given. So we cannot say importance is unclear. We can say the purpose of building that structure is unclear. But nowadays it is a church. It is there, it survives as a church. So we don't know what purpose it was made for, but now we use it as a church. That is the purpose now. So these are the answers. Although when you have noun plus verb both, despite when you only have noun. Second, left a mark, left his, her mark is a collocation. Third, distinctly, not different. Different is like, we can say there are different groups in the class. Means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. That is different. There are different varieties of flowers on the planet. So that means different types, a lot of. But distinct means something which is very different from others, which does not match with anything. That is called distinctly or distinctive. So here we'll go with distinctly and latter is singular. So we'll go with S. Carries for a building. We don't use the word carry. So we'll go with illuminates. And the last one, the original purpose is not known, but we use it as a church nowadays. Right? Any doubts or questions, anyone? Is it all clear? These were all the questions that we had to do today. Thank you. And I hope this would have been helpful to you and you would have taken a lot of notes and you will use them. So make sure that you revise. You try your best to use all those things that we discussed here. And I'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Keep practicing and come back.